You are now live with Taji.
All right, all right. Good day, everyone. Happy Tuesday. And I just want to first off thank all the supporters that have been with Live with Taji thus far. I just had to get that out. Why save that till the end, right? I definitely want to say I have a very, very special guest with me tonight. Oh my gosh, what a surprise this is. He is a former NFL linebacker, two-time, not one, but two-time Super Bowl champion, okay, of the Giants. And he is a Michigan State Hall of Famer, president of G3 Sports, starter official, and G3 for her. So we're going to get into that in just a bit. Thank you, Mr. Carl Banks, for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me this evening.
Of course, of course. I just want to tap into, how you bring the sportsmanship into starter official, and then you bring it in the fashion, which has been going on for many years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know starter official launched again in 2014, and you've been holding it down since then, and even before then.
Yes, I
Yes.
I wore the brand when I was playing football in the 80s and 90s, and it was when you say starter official, it was the official product both on the field and off the field in the streets. It was such a part of pop culture that everybody could relate to the starter brand. Everybody had to have a starter jacket. And so, as I think it's been a few years now since we've had the brand, but my son was still a teenager at the time, and he was big vintage collector. So he'd go in the attic and find a lot of my old jackets, and he just loved the starter pieces. And then he was online looking at Grailed or something. I'm not sure where he was looking, and he shows me the starter jacket. He's like, "Dad, you need to bring this brand back. How come you're not doing this?" And I was like in negotiations at that time, so that was kind of a cosign for me or validation that I was on the right track. That the brand was resonating with a new generation, and so we brought it back. It's been tremendous for us. We've had some really cool collaborations. We got a lot of cool collaborations coming too, but one of the ones that we're really proud of, we just finished a Coca-Cola collaboration
Oh, wow.
last fall. It was really dope. But I mean, the brand has such star power, and
It
it's
does. It
one
does.
of the most iconic, brands in sports. So, um, what you see in sports, basketball, football, especially those two sports, and how it's presented to the fan,
Right.
that template was laid by Starter. But the ability of Starter, which you don't see a lot of today, you see a lot of stuff on court, but you never see people rocking the same thing other than a jersey
Right.
off the court. But Starter was basically a runway for how you wanted to rock your sports style on the court, or what you see on the court or on the field, and how you decide to put it together off the field and off the court. And fans, it crossed um, all over. It was pretty much
Right.
a global appeal, because if you were just a hardcore fan, you wore it as a fan. If you were
Right.
somebody in entertainment, you rocked it for the cool points and for the colors,
Yeah.
and so
I was
we're
gonna say it
there.
for the colors too, because
Yeah,
us ladies that aren't much into sports, if we see something that catches our eye as far as colors, we're just gonna rock it because we love the colors.
right. And
But I know
so,
it's beyond that.
no, it should be all of that. It shouldn't
Right.
just be on that. It's all inclusive. So I'm really excited about that. we have a starter ladies collection that
Yes.
we launched last year also. It's picking up steam. And that's
Right.
just just one of my brands. And another brand that we literally just launched last week was
Mm.
our Tommy Hilfiger NFL collection.
Oh, wow.
So we have
Wow.
that. You can find that on Tommy.com or on Fanatics.com. And so we did that. Excited about that.
So there's more to G3 and starter official than we actually think.
Yeah, it's the name is G3 Sports by Carl Banks. So I have
Mm.
a lot of brands underneath my umbrella. We have a DKNY ladies collection in sports.
Mm.
I have a G3 for her collection in sports.
Mm.
Um,
Oh my
what
gosh.
else are we doing? I have a really cool another one I'm really super proud of too. We launched this collection um, three a month ago with Michael Strahan,
Oh
former
wow.
NFL player, host of Good Morning America, the MSX collection by Michael Strahan. It's athleisure, it's workout, it's casual, it's elevated, and it's reflective of who he is and what his lifestyle is, and
Wow.
it's really cool. So
That is
there's a lot
cool.
there's a lot of layers.
And sports is universal, so that's even better. And I
Yes.
know, you include NFL, NBA, MLB, MLS, NASCAR
Mhm.
even.
We do NASCAR as well.
Right. So I love how you incorporate that, because there's a lot of people out there that love way more than one sport or just one in particular, but you hit all aspects, I feel.
Well, yeah, and that what I try to focus on is a little different than some other brands. I try to focus on the fashion aspect of it. Um, a T-shirt is a T-shirt, but what we want to do is give fashionable alternatives.
Right.
Where you don't have to look like a fan every time you walk down the street. You can be stylish with it, or we do offer product that allow you to express your fandom loud and proud. But it's a fun business to be in because it connects you, um, the fan, with fashion. It connects your fandom and allows you to make it a wearable experience. And then for me, from where I sit, in a creative space, to be able to look at things through a lens of multiple eyeballs, like
Right.
fans that go to every game, to a guy like Kendrick Lamar who wore a starter jacket on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine,
Mm.
or Jermaine Dupri who is as close to the brand as you can get
Right.
when he was in his hottest days as a young producer to where he is now. So we want to make sure that we just continue to do great product, provide uh, quality, and,
Yes.
and, and great alternatives.
And you can dress it up or down. Now, for me,
Yeah.
having a wardrobe stylist, I'm always thinking of a different way to
Yes.
style something. And I love how you can dress it in streetwear or casual, or you can even put it together with something chic.
No
And
doubt.
a lot of people wouldn't think that, but there's a way of making it happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, did you always have a love for fashion?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I grew up in Michigan, and we got that whole Detroit spirit thing, and that whole Midwest swag. Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, that whole swag. So we always had kind of a flair for fashion. I didn't go to school for it, but it was
Okay.
a passion. I was in New York. I wanted to learn how to do it, so I did. I kind of taught myself. What was necessary to be in the business. And I'm not a I heard Tommy Hilfiger say this years ago. He's not a fashion designer. He's a fashion entrepreneur. And that's what I am. I understand every aspect of fashion. I understand every aspect of the business. Um, I built my own collection first, so
Wow.
I understand how everything works.
Yeah.
If you ask me to put together a collection today, I could do it. I still do it with my staff, but I'm not going to tell you that I am technically trained as a designer. But I know how. I have great computer skills also. But I'm, from what I like to say, from mind to market. From paper to the the showrooms. So
Right.
I try to do just about and manage every phase of it.
So it sounds like you brought your fashion sense from Michigan to New York and made it a big hit. And then you also said, "Hey, I would take on being a fashion entrepreneur," which is great. So would you say that for someone starting out, that is good to know all aspects of fashion?
Yes, I would say if someone's starting off and want to be in the business, understand it, start understanding every phase of the business. So if you are a designer, make sure you understand what happens after you design. And
Mm,
if your goal is to make money, understand how that process works. Understand how partnerships work, collaborations work, licensing deals. Um, you have to understand how all of that works, or else you'll just be stuck in one place and not be able to really scale your ideas.
right, right. What would you suggest are their main steps to becoming a successful small business as far as a fashion designer?
Well, it depends on what side of that business you want to be on, but I would say it's all about number one, it's all about your product or your craft. Make sure that you hone that. But you have to be intellectually curious. You have to understand, you have to want to understand how everything works. You may not get it all the first time
Right,
because you do have a core competency, whatever that core competency is. But if your bigger picture is to go beyond that, then start to ask questions, start to meet people, start to go into places where you can learn about how things work in the areas that you want to go into.
now would you suggest having an investor, or would it be okay to start with your own finances?
Wow, I just had this conversation with the very talented designer Pharaoh Kirk
Oh, wow.
uh, uh, 2 days ago.
Oh.
Pharaoh and I were talking about um, just things that he want to get accomplished and how he can go about it. Um, it's always great to have a resume. Let me just say that.
Okay.
Um, Whether and you see the thing is you don't have to be rich to do it. You just have to be. You have to start somewhere.
Start
Don't have an
somewhere.
idea and drop it in somebody's lap. That's the last thing you want to do.
That happens a lot.
Um, yeah. People drop ideas in someone else's lap and want them to build their idea. Well, it's not theirs, it's yours, right?
Right.
Tell me what you want. Show me what you want to do. So if you're in the fashion business, build a resume. Don't give somebody your idea and be mad if it doesn't come out the way you want it. You have to develop what your vision should look like, even if it's on a smaller scale, so that you can have something to present to someone.
Very true. So I do understand with progressing in the fashion industry, it's great to network.
Yep.
Are there any specific networking platforms that you would suggest for opportunities and becoming a better fashion designer, or whoever is under that umbrella, because it goes beyond than just a fashion designer?
Well, I mean, we just met via Black Fashion World, right?
Right.
That's a network. Carla is a great resource to network with. Logging on to those types of platforms gives you exposure to so many people. Like, I'm not accessible to you if you had never met me, right? If you had
True.
never seen me and we reached out and we connected. So
Right.
I think it's, that's the networking you need. You need to be in the right places.
At the
Um,
right time.
well, yeah, you just know where everything is going on. That's the most important thing you can do.
Right. And closed mouths don't get fed, as
That's
they
right.
say. I
That is
definitely feel
correct.
like that is true. Now,
Yeah.
how do you stay ahead of competition? Because competition hits us every day. How would you stay ahead of competition?
Um, it's so interesting when you pay attention to competition. That means you're looking either out the side or in the rearview mirror. And sometimes you have to. Well, staying ahead of competition is staying focused on what you want to do. Staying um, adept at what's going on in trends and fashion, and continuously articulating your point of view. So I know what I want to do. I know a direction I want to go. What I like to do is have my competition be reactive to something I've already done. So
Mm,
I have a plan. I plan ahead. I know exactly what I want to do. And if you don't, it's for me, and it's kind of a
I know
it's
you're
kind of
trying
a
not to give your secrets away, right?
yeah, but I'll give this away. In the era of social media, don't be so friendly with your ideas until your idea is already developed. See, a lot of
Mm,
people would throw stuff out there and they haven't even done it yet, and their competition is looking at it, so yeah, we got this too. Well, if you see mine, it's done already and it's ready to hit the market. So if my competition's getting it, they're getting it way late because I haven't shown it until I'm ready
right.
to go. And that's important. Like, people got to be careful when they throw their ideas out there on the internet, and then somebody else takes it and
Right.
they wonder what happened. Well, you loose lips sink ships. Stop.
That is
Stop
true.
showing your stuff so much. But having platforms like Black Fashion World Foundation, it's Carla Nelson. Um, it's something I think everybody they should subscribe to her newsletter. Make sure you follow her on IG Fashion Black Fashion World Foundation, because they are very, very good conversations happening
Yeah.
on that platform. There are people on that platform, my contemporaries, some people that I look up to, like a guy like Jeff Tweedy, who was a contemporary of mine, but I look up to him in a lot of different ways. He's the CEO of Sean John. He gave a
Mm,
master class
wow.
on on that platform, Black Fashion World Foundation. Go on there and look at that. You can learn some things. He talks about a lot of different um, ways to bring your product to market, not just at retail, but even at retail, how to ready yourself um, for entry into retail, because it's a different animal. You may say you want to do it, but you got to be prepared to do it.
You're right. You're right.
So I'm going to keep plugging Carla Nelson and Black Fashion World Foundation, because it's just meaningful conversations. And people, they often say, well, I can't get in the doors that I need to get into. I can't network the way I need to network. Well,
Right.
I can tell you, you can network with the CEO of Sean John, who has run he's Jeff has run some major brands. Um, but you can network there. You're networking with me. You found me there. And there are
Right.
a lot of other people on there that, if you start to look at some of those conversations and reach out, I'm sure Carla will help connect the dots too to any
Right.
young aspiring designers, marketers, producers, all the above.
I hope you heard all of that. If not, you can always rewind because that was important information right there. And thank you for sharing. And
Mhm.
I love that you're great with and okay with spreading love because there's a lot of people up there that are not even just up there that don't really love spreading the love and sharing other
It's all
company
good, man.
names and
Like, well, for me, it's having a formative influence on other young minds, other creatives. So anything I can do to help, I mean, this is the landscape is huge. I'm not threatened by anyone, and people shouldn't be so damn insecure
right,
about giving young talented people help because those people are also your resources as well.
right,
You may discover the talent that I may be looking for, by having these types of conversations. So I strongly believe in um, being a resource, um, using whatever knowledge I have to be able, like I said, to have a formative influence on young minds.
that's dope. I learned from a guy named Sergio that he doesn't turn down people because you could be nobody today and somebody tomorrow.
Hmm. This is true.
And vice versa. You could be somebody today and no one tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So I love that inspiration.
Hmm.
So we all know it's around election time, right? Whether good or bad for some, we're not going to go into politics, but I do want to ask, how do you think the election results will impact the fashion industry?
That's interesting. Let me just say how the current administration's policies
Okay.
have impacted the fashion industry. I don't want to make it about him. I want to make it about the policies.
Right.
And anybody that's an importer um, or exporter in this bit in the fashion industry has been impacted by the tariffs. So when the tariffs hit China, it raised the price of goods. It raised the cost of making goods to sell goods for retailers to even sell goods. So um,
Mm,
when the tariffs hit, it just made it the cost to consumer even higher. We make some stuff in America, but there are certain things you can't.
right.
And if you want to enjoy good prices, some things have to be made outside of the United States because it's just you can't do it at the same cost. But we make a great deal of product here in the United States. But to answer your question, the policies, the tariffs, were impacting our business, but it also helped us also diversify our manufacturing base, not just within my company, but throughout the industry,
Mm,
because there are a lot of duty free countries that you can get products made in, like a Colombia, who's seeing a large uptick in
mm.
their production
Oh, wow.
facilities. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So what happens in the next with the results of this election? The proof is in the policies. It really comes down to that. You know, um, we vote for various reasons. I have
Right.
personal reasons. I have professional reasons. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the policies, and if you voted for someone and you believe in their policies, then you're going to be okay with who you voted for. If not, if the policies are not beneficial to you, then you're probably going to have an issue.
And that was some great insight. So, what advice would you give a designer that may feel overwhelmed and scared in this industry? We know
Then,
it can be cutthroat.
yeah, but the overwhelming and the fear in this industry is often the thing that that drives you to even greater creativity, I think you have to embrace that fear. You have to look at being overwhelmed as an opportunity to grow. You know, your fear and your anxiety are often things that come from not knowing the unknown, right? You're not afraid of what you know, you're afraid of what you don't know, or you are
Right.
overwhelmed by what's coming. Walk through the door,
This
you're
is
going to learn something. You will learn something one way or the other. So it's a learning experience. So you always embrace the fear, especially in this industry, um, because
yeah,
you learn. If you're overwhelmed, take a step back, but don't run away.
right.
It's always good if you get a little bit in, stop, look around. Learn. You ain't got to go all the way in, but if you, like I say, I keep saying, if you have a core competency, if you know that there's something you're really good at, and you want
Use
to learn
that.
more beyond that, take the steps. Don't be afraid.
And even during this pandemic, you know, don't let it
Absolutely.
affect you. You can actually do so many things right now.
Yeah, the thing about the pandemic, and I talked to a friend of mine in the music, he's a music producer, Amadeus. Um,
Ah,
and so we talked for about an hour, and I was just asking, as a creative, what did he do? Because some people that are in creative, they got more creative, they created more music, they did this. He said he did the opposite. He
mm,
stepped away from the things that he was good at, and he invested more time into other people.
mm,
During the pandemic, just making sure everybody else was good. He wanted to use that energy into something else because it helped to feed him internally. And some people just decided just to just create more music, create whatever. And he was just like, look, I just want to pour my energies into other people, make sure other people are good.
wow.
And that's incredible.
It is
So,
incredible.
you got, being purposeful is an important thing.
Very much so. So I see you're always helping and into bringing awareness to various causes, especially for
Hmm.
young entrepreneurs, emerging and established. For example, Kids Fashion Delivers.
Yeah.
There's more to you than we think. And I just want to
Yeah.
say we
So,
appreciate that.
yeah, and thank you for acknowledging that. There are a few things that I'm passionate about, that I can use my platforms for. Obviously, helping kids is a big thing to me. But young people in this industry, I have a very strong advocate. I'm a very strong advocate for the support of autistic children.
Oh, wow.
And then my other passion is I'm on a advisory board for men stopping violence against women.
Wow.
Um, very big, very big initiative for me. It's a not for profit run out of Georgia, but domestic violence is an issue that
Yeah.
we have to address as men. Toxic masculinity is something that has kind of um,
It's been going on for years.
overtaken our young black men. Masculinity and toxicity um, should not go hand in hand. You don't have to be destructive. Macho is not, you know, being in control of everything all the time or being dominating of a female. That's not real masculinity. That's toxic. So that foundation is something that I'm really big advocate for, and we're actually raising funds this year. We're in our fundraising drive too. So if you want MSV.com, Men Stopping Violence, and if you got $1, to help prevent domestic violence do it. Their classes are, and the thing about it, when I was
Right.
invited to join the advisory board, I said I want to really immerse myself into the organization and understand it. So I flew to Atlanta. I took 3 classes that they do for men who are trying to rehabilitate themselves that have basically been locked up for domestic
Okay.
violence. But they had to complete this course that MSV has them do. It's mandatory by the courts that they be in this and they go through this workshop. It's as intense as you can get. And at that point, I knew that um, MSV was doing the work. It wasn't just, hey, look, we want to talk the talk. They are all
Right.
about it. They're counselors, their workshops. And I sat, it's so interesting because I jumped off a plane and I was running a little late. And the one thing you can't be to their classes is late, right?
Uh-oh.
But
Uh-oh.
for the no, for the people that were, court ordered to be there, they were, they got to be there, front and center on time, checked in, everything. So I got there, and I didn't come as a celebrity. I didn't even announce myself as a board member. I just came, so they thought I was one of the
Right.
men in the audience that's mandated to be there. And I could have sat in the back um, with other board members. I sat right in the middle of everybody, so I could really get a real feel for it. And the work that they do is just incredible. The
Mm.
work that we do is just incredible. So, yeah, I just wanted to shout them out and folks, men, women. Again, menstoppingviolence.com. You can Google it. Um, and just learn. They have a hotline. It's nationwide. If women are in trouble or if men need assistance
Right.
in just diffusing situations, because it's about education too and understanding. And what I found out in a lot of relationships, men don't know how to
Ha-
function.
Right.
They never learned how. It's sometimes it's generational, and educating men is just as important as saying don't hit women.
Right.
Just understanding how you can work through situations, work through an argument that doesn't necessarily always have to, and I want to say argument or disagreement that doesn't always have to
Res-
result in something, toxic.
right. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, especially during this time this year, 2020. I'm hearing the numbers are extremely high this
Yeah, I
year.
mean, people
So,
are locked in, locked down, and you know, counseling is at an all-time high. But again, men stopping violence. If you go there, they have counselors too, for men and women. But you don't have to have had that fight to
right.
call and say, "Listen, I need to talk to somebody on how to deal with this. I've never been locked in the house with this woman for X amount
Uh,
of days, months, you know what I mean? And she ain't going to work because they making her work from home and blah blah. You know what I mean? So
right.
you got to be able to navigate that. That's a whole new world when all of a sudden you say, "Man, I could spend every moment of the day with you. You breathe in, I breathe out." But then when you have to actually do it,
It's a
and
different
it's like,
story.
okay, ooh, you know what I mean? Some people are just not, they don't have outlets and they don't know how to have those, you know, navigate life when you don't have schedules that allow you to flow in and out of each other's space.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I know you're a very, very busy, talented, dedicated. I mean, and the list goes on, Mr. Carl Banks. I do want to ask just two more questions if we can hit one for fashion and, of course, sports. We can't leave without
Okay.
me asking a sports question.
All
First
right.
question is, what inspired G3 Sports and G3 for her?
Well, starter basically, because when I wore starter as a football player, um, it was my inspiration of like, wow, I want to do this, And while I was still playing, I started developing a big and tall leather collection around sports, and that is really pretty much inspired G3 Sports by Carl Banks. That's what started it, was a big and tall leather NFL collection that grew
Mm,
into what it is today.
nice. And now
Yeah.
also for her.
Well, G3 for her was another inspiration, because I just got tired of seeing um, ladies apparel that looked like it was made for a man and shrank, altered for a woman.
Right.
And me and my staff, we want to make product that's trend ready for women, that will allow them to have their own style, but it's a female garment. Like if you take a look right now, at our G3 for her product, it's everything is trend right fabrics, everything, cuts, silhouettes, everything is on trend. If you look at that, if you look at our Tommy Hilfiger for NFL collection
Mm-hmm.
right now, if you look at that, you're blown away. It's nothing like you would think. Oh, it's probably going to be a men's jersey that's altered or whatever.
Right.
It's on trend. Everything
Mm,
about it, from the leggings to the
mm,
sports bras, crop tops, mesh jerseys, you name it, even the
mm.
outerwear. Yeah,
Everything. Ooh.
yeah,
Get a little bit of everything. I love that.
yeah.
Last question. So I'm hearing that the Giants haven't had great linebackers since you, LT, and Carson. Do you think they will ever get linebackers of that caliber?
Well, listen, you just talked about between um, three linebackers, you just named are part of the NFL's all decade team,
Mm.
right? And two of the three are in the NFL Hall of Fame. So that's a tall order. How about we settle for like really good linebackers? Will the Giants ever get really good linebackers again? I think they will. They have one now. Blake Martinez is a good player.
Okay.
Hopefully, Lorenzo Carter will get healthy. He was off to a good year before he tore his Achilles. But I think what we had were all-time greats. We're not talking about average players. So,
Right.
having all-time greats, you don't get those um,
Mm.
every other year.
They don't make them
But
like you anymore, huh?
well, I don't want to say that. You can say it, but yeah. To answer your question, you're correct. Um, we have never seen another Lawrence Taylor. So we are guys that were the best players in a decade. Over a 10-year period, and Lawrence Taylor all time. Harry Carson's an all time middle linebacker. So, but we are hopeful that they get good players.
Yes. Yes. Come on,
Hmm.
New York. Come on, New York.
We got it.
Yes. So I definitely want to say thank you so much for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. I'm hoping everyone at home learned so much today because I definitely did. And please make sure you follow Mr. Carl Banks on Instagram, Carl Banks G3. Okay, so that's three
Listen,
eyes, three eyes.
Carl Banks GIII.
Yes, G-I-I-I. And then you
And
have,
that's on Twitter also, Carl Banks GIII. And also, I want to encourage everybody again, if you have an interest in this business, any aspect of it, you have to follow Black Fashion World Foundation. Um, it's important, folks. Like, you don't get the access to some of the people um, that she has just by bumping into him. She has great relationships, and this is your networking opportunity now more than ever, because you can virtually do it. Like, you can sit and listen to a master class from a guy like Jeff Tweedy, And you're going to be so much smarter after. And if you met him on the street, he probably wouldn't even be able to put you on his schedule. He
Mm.
would give you credit, but he's a busy guy running a company. But this, he gives a master class. And
Oh wow.
um, take a listen to it. Listen to the conversation I had. I have some, I listened to some other folks there, some designers that have done great projects like Kiki, who's on there, and she's part of a group called KA Kitties. They designed my first, they launched my
Wow.
G3 for her collection. They did my first collection. I went to
Wow.
them to do my first collection. And so, it's so many talented people there, folks. You need to Black Fashion World Foundation.
Yes.
Just go to the site, peruse it, look at some of these videos. You're gonna learn a lot about this business.
Yes, and I've been watching, and again, that's how we met. I
Yeah.
watched your interview on there and I've asked questions. And I think that
Yep.
would definitely be a great wave, even for me, with my fashion coffee business. And I do
Mm-hmm.
virtual fashion shows. That would be great to even
Sure.
be able to meet others and get more insight.
Yep.
Yeah. So I definitely appreciate that.
All right.
And thank you for being you and again taking this time. And thank you so much from bringing yourself
Thank you for
and
having
your
me.
talents from Michigan to New York. And New York is where it's at. Sorry, I had to
There we
end it that
go.
way.
Uh-huh.
All right,
All
so
right. Well, I
enjoy the rest
appreciate
of
it.
your day. No, I appreciate you
You the
so much.
same.
All right,
All right. Thank
bye.
you.
No
Bye,
problem.
Taji.
Thank you.